Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about the C8R and the C8 Convertible in a little bit more detail. Alright guys, so last night Chevrolet dropped a bomb on us again and gave us a fantastic looking convertible C8 and the first look at the C8R. The C8R is an absolute amazing looking car, but let's get into a little bit more detail. Now before we do, I want to show a couple of exhaust clips from the C8R that sound absolutely phenomenal. It sounds absolutely amazing. You can definitely tell it has a much more race car sound to it than the C7R did. I am going to miss the booming sound of the C7R, but honestly, this sounds pretty amazing too. After last night's video, I realized we didn't really get into a lot of detail about either one of these cars. I wanted to get the news out to you guys as fast as I possibly could, and in order to do so, I had to leave out some detail. But here we are today. We're going to go over these two cars in more detail, so if any of you guys are interested in purchasing the convertible, you're going to know everything you need to know about it. And for those of you interested in watching the C8R around that track, I'm going to get you as much information as I have about that car right now, so we're all up to date. Since it is possible, and I'm hoping it is likely, that the C8 Z06 is going to be modeled after this C8R. So it's definitely a good idea to know as much about this car as possible, since future models may be more similar to it than to the base model C8 currently. So Jim Campbell, who is the Chevrolet US Vice President of Performance and Motorsports, says that the C8R is much more than just a race-tuned version of the 2020 Corvette Stingray. It's a culmination of many years of testing and development between GM design, propulsion, engineering, and the Corvette racing team. The collaboration between these teams has allowed us to take these vehicles' performance to the next level, both on the street and track. I would say they accomplished exactly that. The car looks phenomenal, and if it performs anything like the C7R did or better, it's going to be an absolute monster. Like I said, I am hoping and praying that that Z06 looks like that, because that is just an unbelievably nice car. When Jim says that the C8R is more than just a race-tuned version of the 2020 Corvette, he's absolutely right, because the engine is obviously completely different. It's rumored to be a flat plane crank, probably around 5.5 liter V8. Given the way the exhaust note sounds, I would tend to agree that that's exactly what we're getting here. And if that's the case, it's obviously a different engine than what is powering the base model Stingray. With that said, it sits way lower to the ground. It's obviously got different aerodynamics. The car is definitely going to be different than just a base model C8 with a spoiler slapped on the back. Now, as you guys know, the C7R had the very iconic yellow Corvette Racing yellow on it. And this car kind of goes with a little bit of a different look. It's actually going to be mostly silver with slight yellow accents on it. And this is actually from Chevrolet themselves, saying that the color of the car was actually inspired by the Corvette concepts. If you look back throughout the Corvette lineup, almost all of the concept mid-engine cars were silver. So that's where they're pulling the inspiration from, apparently. Now, because they can't completely get away from the yellow color, they're going to accent the car with the yellow on the bottom and a stripe down the center, just like they did with the black stripe on the yellow C7R. You guys can all expect to see the C8R making its racing debut at Rolex 24 Daytona in January of this upcoming year. So we're not going to have to wait too much longer to actually see this thing on the track. On Chevrolet's press release, they actually say that this is Chevy's first mid-engine GTLM race car. And of course, for all of you out there who don't know, this is Chevy's first attempt at a mid-engine Corvette as well. At least one that made it to the public. And so far, it looks like they're doing a bang-up job with this thing. The base model C8 has been met with extreme anticipation. The C8R looks fantastic, is no doubt going to be met with the same anticipation, and the convertible C8 is definitely being well received as well. That's pretty much all the information we have about the C8R right now. There has been no confirmation of what kind of engine or drivetrain the car is going to use yet. So anything that you hear about it right now is strictly rumors. The only thing we actually did get was at the end of this video, you can actually see the new Jake emblem. So any of you guys out there who are really interested in the new 8th generation Jake emblem, you now have a good image of what it's going to look like. Aside from that, that's pretty much all we got. The C8R is still a pretty big mystery, but knowing what it's going to look like is pretty huge. But as the information on the C8 Corvette comes out, or any new Corvette, I will of course update you guys, so definitely stay tuned. Now, moving right along to the Stingray Convertible option. There was a lot of information to cover on this car that didn't really get touched on last night, and I wanted to go over it with you guys today. So in Chevrolet's press release, again, they talked about the Corvette's heritage. So right off the bat, the Corvette debuted in 1953 and was only available as a convertible. The 2020 Corvette builds off that heritage as the first hardtop mid-engine convertible in Corvette history. Convertible C8 is priced at $7,500 more than the entry 1LT Stingray Coupe. So the base price for your convertible is of course going to be $67,495. If that's an option you want, you can check that box. It's going to cost you $7,500. Now, one of the most interesting things here in this press release from Chevrolet is the fact that they said that the mid-engine Corvette Stingray was engineered first and foremost as a convertible. The convertible maintains the tunnel dominant structure and use of high integrity die-cast parts that are found on the Stingray Coupe. Very similar stuff they did with the C7 Corvette. They built the car to be a convertible first and made sure that the performance was there without the top. That way we could have the Targa top option or the convertible top option without sacrificing performance. Now, the GM team also engineered the hardtop to stow seamlessly into the body, maintaining the Stingray's impressive ability to store the 2 sets of golf clubs. We talked about that a little bit last night. While I don't really see it as a huge deal because I don't often carry around 2 sets of golf clubs, for some people out there it is a big selling point. So if you're interested in the convertible, you'll still be able to have your 2 sets of golf clubs. Now, the convertible option obviously also keeps the frunk in the front of the car for more storage, and Chevrolet says that that can fit an airline spec carry-on and laptop bag. Again, I don't really understand why we're not just told how much space is actually there versus having to compare airline spec carry-on and laptop bag would actually fill up, but I've seen it in person. It is a fairly large trunk area in the front of the car, so you're not really losing any kind of cargo space with the convertible option. And that's pretty awesome considering you lost half of the actual cargo space on the convertible C7 whenever the top was down. Chevrolet says that the hardtop provides a quieter cabin, increased security, and a cleaner look compared to the previous soft top designs. I would be inclined to agree. It basically just looks like a coupe whenever the hardtop is up and more of a convertible whenever the hardtop is down. It does definitely maintain the lines of the coupe, which is a good thing in my opinion. Other than price, my big concern with the convertible option was the added weight. And Chevrolet again came out and said the difference in weight is going to be 77 pounds. It's definitely interesting that they were able to accomplish this for $7,500 and 77 pounds while maintaining a good portion of the coupe's looks. Chevrolet's press release goes on to say that their goal from the very beginning was to make sure customers did not have to sacrifice any functionality, performance, or comfort when choosing the hardtop convertible. We managed to keep the same design theme as the coupe, as well as the exceptional storage capacity and track capability. That last little part is very interesting because right off the bat, the previous generation Corvettes have never had the same track capability in the convertible model as they did with the coupe. Chevy is basically saying here, if you want to take this car to the track, you absolutely can, regardless if it's a coupe or the convertible. For those of you out there who are concerned with how this is going to operate, the 2-piece top can actually be activated at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. So if you're going 30 miles an hour or slower, you can retract this top while moving. And it's going to retract in about 16 seconds. The difference here really is that it uses electric motors versus hydraulics to pull that top down and into the actual car. This is something new to Corvette because they haven't done this with any previous generation yet. It's all been hydraulics in the past. Now, Chevrolet does say that switching to electric motors from the hydraulic systems that they've used in the past helps increase reliability as well, but that's to be seen. Now, the convertible top can come in 3 different options, but ultimately it comes down to 2 price differences, and that's going to be the body colored roof being standard while the carbon flash metallic painted nacelles or roof are optional. So you can have your carbon flash painted nacelles with a body colored roof, which is an interesting option, but the standard option is just going to be body colored nacelles and roof. Now, the interesting part really comes in for me whenever Chevy starts talking about the differences in the way the engine will be cooled whenever the top is down inside. They specifically address that concern because they apparently know us well enough that we were going to ask questions about this. They go on to say that careful attention was paid to make sure that the engine could breathe when stored underneath the tonneau cover. The sheet molded composite top stows in a compartment made from lightweight composite panels and heat shields to manage heat from the engine. Now, the fact that they addressed that specifically tells me that they knew we were going to ask. I don't think this is going to be an issue for the base model at least, but as we get up in models for turbochargers or superchargers, whatever it ends up being, it's definitely going to generate more heat, and this could potentially become a problem. I hope Chevrolet has this under control. Obviously, we don't want another C706 situation happening here. The C8 convertible will have a divider glass window in the middle of the vehicle that can be power adjusted with the top up or down. So you can put that middle glass down regardless of where the top is located. The glass has been optimized to reduce air circulation and wind noise in the cabin for improved quietness. Now here's where it gets even more interesting though. Chevy flat out says that the roof system design combined with the same rear spoiler used on the Stingray Coupe's Z51 performance package results in identical drag between the coupe and convertible with the top up. So again, no performance sacrificed for the convertible option over the coupe. I think that's amazing that Chevrolet was able to achieve something like that. Now, they do go on to say that the engineers tweaked the chassis for the convertible with springs and dampers tuned specifically to provide nearly the same performance as the coupe. So they say it's nearly the same performance, but earlier they said that it was identical. And then literally the next line says, no compromise performance. I'm not really sure exactly what Chevy's trying to say with this, but it kind of seems like they're backpedaling a little bit by saying the performance is identical and then saying that it's nearly the same. I guess it could just be them trying to protect themselves if there's even a remote bit of difference between the two, but it sounds to me like they're pretty confident that these two models are very, very, very close in performance. Usually you do have to give up some sort of performance for the convertible option, and in this case it sounds like it is very minuscule if there is any. Now, of course, the convertible option comes with the exact same 6.2 liter V8 engine that we get in the coupe, and also the same 8-speed dual clutch transmission. So as far as that goes, you're getting the exact same setup. Chevy says at the very end of their press release that the 2020 Stingray Convertible is the most no-compromise Corvette convertible in history. So again, they make it sound like there is really no differences between the convertible and the coupe as far as performance goes, and that's awesome. I think they're definitely moving in the right direction. A Spider-style convertible is the best way to have a convertible, in my opinion, and it looks great. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope I was able to get you a little bit more information than what you already knew about these cars. If you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the C8 Convertible, the C8R, or any of the Corvettes we talk about on this channel, leave them in the comments section down below or shoot me an email, horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com. I'm always happy to hear from you. I'm always looking to engage in conversation. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. I have a load of C8 and C7 content coming that you are definitely not going to want to miss. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.